This is Politics Tonight. Thank you very much for staying with us. With 2027 still 2 years away, Nigeria's political landscape is already showing signs of early realignment, quiet strategy sessions and shifting loyalties, from power blocks forming behind closed doors to questions about incumbency, zoning and opposition strength. The road to the next general election is already taking shape. The nation has relapsed into a frenzy of conspiracy theories, permutations and subtle political activities ahead of 2027. Tonight, we'll unpack the early permutations, key players, and what these moves could mean for the future of governance in Nigeria. Dr. Muhammed, APC Chieftain, Chairman PICTT, Implementation Committee on Technology Transfer, also Special Advisor, National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENA, joins me on the program tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Muhammad. Good evening to you and welcome to Politics Tonight.
Good evening, Jumoke. Thank you for having me tonight.
So in a moment, and if time permits us, I'll come back to how easy it's been for you serving as chairman of Presidential Implementation Committee on Technology Transfer. You're also Special Advisor, National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure. I mean, isn't that too much work on your shoulders? And of course, what is the nexus? But let's talk politics. Midway into President Bola Tinubu's 4-year tenure, the political atmosphere in the country is getting more tense by the day. Though the next general elections are still 2 years away, the nation has literally turned into one huge marketplace of politics. Great chieftains of the APC have united with members of the opposition parties with just one agenda, to unseat the president. They've also said Nigerians are hungry. And one of the issues of public discourse is whether power would remain in the southern part of the country or go back to the north. How do you analyze this?
It is unfortunate that 2 years into the administration of our president, the oppositions are dragging us into politics. But I want to assure you that we are not going to get distracted with their shenanigans, because we have a country to govern. We have promises that the president has made during the campaign tour on his renewed hope agenda, and we'll focus on that to deliver to Nigerians the promises that the president has made to them on the campaign trail. But that aside, when you come into the politics of 2027, what baffles me is the people that are clamoring for power to come back to the north. I want to bring you an example of democratic norms that normally keep our democracy intact. Even in the United States of America, there are some unwritten norms that are keeping the democracy of the United States of America intact. And in Nigeria here, we have an unwritten norm that power will rotate between the north and the south. President Buhari of blessed memory spent 8 years as president, and we did not hear any clamor from the southern part of the country that power should go back to the south after his first term as a president. Why are we hearing that now? This is baffling to me, but rest assured, it is not what we, the Northerners, want. It is just some few people that are disgruntled because they don't have access to power that they used to have, and do things that is not even in the benefits of the Northern Nigerian people. We have seen what the president has done to us in the north. As the program goes on, I will dwell very much on what we have done as a government that is beneficial not just to Northern Nigeria but to the whole of the country.
Because you had just said this is not what we Northerners want, and I mean you're a stakeholder, but for those you have called aggrieved, are Northern leaders balancing regional interests with national unity, especially as discussions around equity and federal character intensify?
What are you talking about equity?
Yes.
The president, in his magnanimous has even created a Ministry of Livestock for us in Northern Nigeria. He has appointed Northern Nigerians in all the security architecture of this country to see how they can help in order to combat the menace of insecurity. And we are seeing the benefits. We don't have the banditry that we used to have before he came on board. We don't have the issue of insecurity along the, especially the Abuja-Kaduna road that was very, very ungovernable because of the activities unbounded. We don't used to have that now. Our farmers are going back to the market, to the farm. Farm produce is coming down, and we are working so hard now to see that we have provided our farmers the infrastructure needed for them to farm all year round, so that we can continue to provide succor to Nigerians in terms of food security. And looking at what the president has done when he came on board, he took the two major monsters that are affecting the Nigerian economy heads on. He is the only one that has the political will to do that. He removed fuel subsidy and is saving the country over $2 trillion monthly now. He has been able to remove the subsidy on FX, and that has stabilized the Naira and is bringing in foreign direct investment, and even the FX backlog we have in terms of commitment have all been cleared. So this is a reform that is ongoing, and very soon Nigerians will realize that the best thing that has happened to us is having a president that has the political will to take on these two monsters and see that he has solved this issue. The tax reform is coming, and so many other things. If I can go on and go on, CNG initiative, the students' loan, the credit scheme that is coming on board. These are things that are new to us Nigerians, and we have to have that patience for these programs to mature so that we can have the benefits of the renewed hub agenda. Most of these people that you see them clamoring for power to come back to the north are those people that have lost out. They are not fighting the president because the president is not doing well. They are fighting the president because they are not part of the government. And look, they have been part of the Nigerian system for a very long time. Go and check their pedigree. Let me give you an example. When our president finished his tenure as a governor in 2007, he has not partaken in any political position. He did not take any political position in the country. He remained in his region, he remained in his state, built his political structure there, expanded to his region, built bridges across the country. Tell me in the opposition, who among them is in control of his state, not even his region?
Right. And I think it's
let us, when it comes to politics, let us put sentiment aside and look at what is good for the country, and then they are free to cohabit. It's a democracy. We welcome opposition, but we welcome healthy opposition. We are governing now. The president is focusing on delivering the dividends of democracy, and they are dragging us into politics 1 year down the line, 2 years down the line. I don't think they even have the interest of Nigerians. If they have the interest of Nigerians, if they have the interest of Nigerians, they should be providing positive criticism for our president to see how he can improve in providing the dividend of democracy. 3 years down the line, if they don't see changes, they are free to go into it. But it's too early for us to be discussing election. I'm worried because we are in the period of providing governance and executing projects. And also, the stake is, gradually getting higher in the build-up to the 2027 presidential race. The reason is because, as different power blocks and major stakeholders in APC have endorsed the president for election, some opposition politicians are not leaving anything to chance in their effort for a consensus candidate through an alliance or coalition. And it seems to be majorly for the soul of the North, when in fact the North just handed power to the South, which you had talked about. But let's look at these opposition figures. You make former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, David Mark, Dr. Hakeem Baba Ahmed, who has been so outspoken of late. Ali Ndume has turned himself to an enemy of his own party. Rabi Kwakwasa recently said the North is marginalized on road infrastructure development under this administration. Meanwhile, there's been, a growing sentiment among the northern parts of the country that the North has been favored in terms of political representation and development. Do you think the northern electorate is more concerned about reclaiming the presidency or about governance and representation at the states and local levels? Let me be honest with you. I have been part of the campaign of Mr. President from the beginning to the end. And I have followed the president to almost every state he went. Let me tell you, I'm from the north, and I still go back to my constituency. What the northerners are concerned is good governance.
Okay.
we are not bothered for power to come back. What we are bothered now is for the president to succeed in his reforms and provide good governance that will provide relief to majority of Nigerians. The president inherited a fractured economy, a system that was not working. State governors couldn't pay salary, they borrowed to pay salary. As of today, there is no single state governor that is borrowing to pay salary. They have excess money, and the president, even today during the next meeting, has mandated all of them to go back and provide relief to the citizens of their state. There has never been a time that our governors have so much resources than now, and these are all as a result of the economic permutations and the economic policies of Mr. President. So what we should be focusing on, what we want in the North, is how can our farmers be provided with security and the infrastructure needed in terms of irrigation, mechanization, and seedlings for them to be able to go to the farm and farm all year round.
All right.
How can we...
Dr. Muhammed, let me ask you this question, and this is because you've talked about honesty. Forget that you're an APC chieftain, forget that you're the chairman PICTT. I specifically asked about the electorate because if the former spokesperson of the Northern Elders Forum is clearly saying that the North would take a side that would only favor the region, and so I don't go out of context, Dr. Muhammad, Akim Baba Ahmed says, in the next 6 months, the North will decide where it stands. If the rest of the country wants to join us, fine. If not, we'll go our own way. One thing is clear, nobody can become president of Nigeria without Northern support. We want a government that understands our problems and can address them. After Buhari's 8 years, we became wiser. Now we are in another government and we're still crying. Is crying all we know how to do? Is the North truly marginalized? Yes or no?
We are not marginalized as far as I'm concerned.
All right.
And let me tell you, Hakim Baba Ahmed is speaking, with all due respect to him, he's speaking for who? Who gave him the mandate as a monolithic North for him to speak on our behalf? You know, gone are those days that some people will just form themselves, give themselves names, and say they are representing the North. We are not going to allow that to happen because we have been following them and we have not seen the dividends of following them. It's now time for us that are coming up to see how we can take up the mandate and see that the North gets what it deserves. We are not after political power. The North doesn't have even an economic agenda, as I'm talking to you. So we are not after political power. What we need is a president that will listen to us, look at us, and provide for us opportunities that we can develop the North economically. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu so far has provided the policy, and he's doing that, and he's rejiggling that to see that the North is positioned to harness the resources that we have in terms of agriculture and mineral resources and see how we can develop the region. Right. We have President Buhari has been in power for 8 years. So many Northerners have been in power for 8 years. But what foundation have they given us in the North in terms of economic development that we can say that we can be proud of? So it doesn't matter who the president is. What matters to us in the North now is who can provide us with the enabling environment for us to grow our economy, for us to bring relief to our people, for us to have our people go to school and get education, for us to develop the capacity of our people and harness our economic resources and natural resources that we have to develop. Right. Yeah, so when somebody sit down and say he's talking for the whole North, me, I'm from Gombe. I know he's not talking on my behalf. I know he's not talking on behalf of my constituency. I know what my constituency wants. I go to them. I listen to them. That is, nobody has sent him to go and do that. What we are used to having some people forming a clique and say they represent the North. But when election comes, we will truly know who is representing the North. We will truly know who has grassroots support. I will truly know where the power in the North lies.
All right. Interesting. And, you know, on the other hand, I really want to know the kinds of internal conversations currently taking place within the APC, especially with both the PDP and the ADC accusing the APC of intimidation. Bolaji Abdullahi recently said no governor would join the party, that's the ADC, due to alleged intimidation. And this is the third time the ADC would be making such allegation. How do you react to insinuations that ADC's emergence was in response to public dissatisfaction with mainstream parties like the APC and PDP?
I don't know where the issue of intimidation comes from. The state governors are not appointed by the president, they are elected by their people, and I don't think there's any state governor that can be intimidated by the president. If you do that, you are not only insulting the governors, you are insulting our democratic practice. There are two different arms of government and they are all independent. Why are the governors coming to APC? It's because they have seen what the president has done. And they have seen the kind of reforms that he has brought to bear and the effect it is having on their state. I'm telling you, they're having more resources now than they've ever had. So when you are doing good and people are coming to you, nobody has forced any governor to come. They are coming on their own will, seeing that we have a structured party that respects democracy. We have a president that is performing, and that is why they are coming on board.
I'm sure you've heard some people say they are joining based off of political survivor, and that EFCC is after most of them, and they know when they join the APC, their sins are forgiven. No,
that is just what the opposition will say because they are losing people and they cannot attract quality people into their fold. They are losing people, and I'm telling you, before election we'll have more people coming. We are the most structured party with the most structured governance structure. We are the ones that have the real economic policies and are pursuing it, and we have a leader that has the will to pursue it and deliver the evidence of democracy to Nigerians. It might be difficult, yes, we have to say the truth. Well, we are passing through a transition that these reforms are biting hard. The president knows, we all know, but we are reaching a situation whereby things are starting to be better, and they will continue to get better. Believe you me, before 2027, Nigeria will be far better, that will have an easy ride into the election.
And talking about economic revival, former presidential candidate Peter Obi has argued that Nigeria's economic indicators have been deliberately manipulated to present a false narrative of recovery and improvement under President Tinubu. Do you believe Peter Obi's economic criticism is rooted in concerns for Nigerians, or is this simply a calculated political move ahead of 2027?
As an opposition, you can say things without looking at the facts. Let's look at what we are doing in terms of the sectors. Let's take the agricultural sector and see what we are doing. When we came into government, we don't have tractors. We don't have the required implements for farming. We don't have the required irrigation infrastructure for all year round farming. And these are the things that the president started addressing heads-on when we came into power. We launched the Irrigate Nigeria project, which is planning to cover at least 1 million hectares of land with irrigation infrastructure for our farmers to farm all year round. The tractorization of the agricultural sector started with the president. You saw him launching the tractors that came in from Belarus. Other agricultural equipment machineries have been coming into the country. In Naseni, they have set up assembly plants for the production of irrigation pumps that are being manufactured here in Nigeria. We have some small hand tractors that are being manufactured here in Nigeria now. And the agricultural sector is seeing a huge reform that has never happened in the country. And it will take time for Nigerians to feel the benefit, but it is there, it has started. We are now beginning to have companies coming to Nigeria to set up factories. We have about 2 or 3 companies that have already signed an agreement to come and set up EV assembly plants. Some of the machineries have come. We have companies that have come to set up plants for the production of vaccines in Nigeria, which by the time the factory is commissioned later in the year by Mr. President, almost 80% of our vaccine needs will be produced here in Nigeria. So I can go on and on. We have the CNG initiative. So many factories, so many companies are coming, so many investment that has never come into Nigeria is flowing in now because of the reforms of Mr. President. And by the time the tax reform comes into effect by the beginning of the year, January 2026, you will see more of this inflows. So Nigerians need to be a little bit patient for us, because the dividends of what Mr. President has started will begin to bear fruit very soon.
All right, so Dr. Muhammed, you're saying this is not a case of technocrats focusing on numbers while missing the bigger picture of hardship.
Yeah, you see, when a woman is going to give birth, during the labor period, she will have so much pain that some women said that when you feel the pain, you feel as if you should not give birth again. But when you see the child at the end of the delivery, you will forget about the pains and rejoice. That is the pain we are going through now. Right. And what the president said even during the campaign is that he's going to take some painful decisions that will put the country on track. And he did not lie to Nigerians. It is going to be painful. He said, bear with me. At the end of the day, we are going to all be okay. And we've started seeing the benefit of what he has done. Food prices have stabilized. The Naira has stabilized. Foreign investment is coming in. Unemployment is going down. Students are getting their loan and allowances given to them. The corpers are doing well. In terms of even the minimum wage, he is the one that has been able to actualize it. And so many other things are coming on board. So many factories are coming to Nigeria that I'm telling you, believe me, within the next 1 year, the opposition will find it difficult to come and say anything about the economy, because the economy will be on an upward trajectory by then.
Let's talk about this coalition. And I'm sure you must have heard people say this coalition looks like the most coordinated opposition move since 2015, with members of the APC who were present at that time perfectly scripting out the same coordinates APC used. Does that bother you in any way?
No, it doesn't bother me, because every election period comes with its own different permutations. The 2023 election will not be the same as 2027 election. The areas that we have not done well in 2027, we have been able to cover that gap. We know our strategy. We are working behind the scene. We don't make noise. People will understand when the time comes that we know the game and we're in it for a very long time. And we don't make noise. We know where our strengths are. We know where we didn't do well in 2023, and we have covered that in a very, very calm and strategic manner. And believe you me, we are waiting to see who their candidate will be.
Some of these men have talked about...
If they bring a candidate from the north, believe you me, it won't work. It won't work.
But some of them have
expressed not get anything in the south, and even in the north, you will not get anything.
To govern for just a term. They say that is enough for them to solve Nigeria's problems. Some say Mr. Peter Obi's one-term pitch is a clever strategy to gain trust quickly. Do you think Nigerians will buy it?
When you're outside, you can say whatever you want to say in order to get in. It's when you get in and you see the magnitude of what you have to do, by then he will say 4 years will not be enough. But I leave that to him. For us, we are focusing on our candidate, who is the president. We are focusing on delivering the dividends of democracy. We are focusing on reviving our economy and helping our economy and our country. The president is he doesn't talk about politics. Every time you meet the president, he is talking about how can we upscale what we are doing so that our economy can grow faster. He was saying, yeah, we have reduced the GDP, it is 3.4, it's not enough. That's what he was saying. We have to work hard to see that we have an economy that works for every Nigerian. That is what we are focusing on. They are focusing on politics. We are focusing on delivering the dividend of democracy to our people. We are focusing on building an economy. Believe you me, by the time Mr. President finishes his reforms and finishes his 8 years, God's willing, Nigerians will have him to remember for a very long period
But Dr.
of time.
Muhammad, politics and governance are intertwined. If you say Peter Obi does not appear serious, what about Atiku Abubakar, who has hinted at staying in the race for 2027? As an APC chieftain, how seriously does your party take its potential candidacy? Do you believe it still has the potential or the political strength and public support to be a real threat in 2027, or has its time passed? Please go ahead.
In democracy, we don't undermine. Every opponent to us is an opponent, and we don't undermine them. But when I look at the figures that are in the opposition, actually, I don't lose sleep over them because
really, Dr.
these are
Muhammed.
people that were there. Yeah, I'm very honest
these are
with you.
Former
I
members
don't
of your
lose sleep
party.
over them because, yes, these are former members of our party that
Political
have left the party
in the
because
north.
they don't get what. You see, when you keep on saying political figures in the north, you know, it's an acronym that people put on themselves, but are they really political figures? Let me ask you, how many of them, I'm being honest, how many of them can today, how many of them are in charge of their state politically as of today? We can call their names and look at their state and see, even if they are in charge of who the governor is there or who the political bigwigs are there. You see, in politics, it's not about an individual. You see, in politics, every polling unit has somebody that is strong there, every ward, every local government. So it's not just one person. You have to go and do the groundwork, and that is what we are doing. We are talking to the people that matters in the wards, in the local governments, and in the states. We are not talking about figures. We are not talking about, because we are concentrating on the grassroots and providing for them what they need and building our structures there. There's no party that has the structure that we have at the grassroots. And that is what matters when it comes to politics. That's why I say I don't lose sleep over them. Not
then.
at all.
Dr. Dahiru Muhammad, let's take a break, and when we return, we'll continue this conversation. This is Politics Tonight. Please stay with us, everyone. Tonight, we're unpacking political permutations ahead of 2027, key players and what these moves could mean for the future of governance in Nigeria. And I've been speaking with Dr. Dahiru Muhammad, APC Chieftain, Chairman, PICTT, and that's the Presidential Implementation Committee on Technology Transfer. He's also Special Advisor, National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure. Thank you very much for staying with us, Dr. Muhammad. Let's continue with this conversation. You know, some believe former Vice President Atiku Abubakar's long presence in politics is both an asset and a liability, and I'm sure you disagree. But what's your view on how Nigerian voters, especially the youth, perceive him today? Does his political history make him more difficult for the opposition to present a united front against APC in 2027? Do you think Nigerian voters today still reward political flexibility, or are they increasingly looking for ideological constituency and perhaps clear values? And all right, please go ahead.
See, what the Nigerian people want is good governance. What Nigerian people want is to see that our economy is doing very well. Politics comes second. When you have a president that is willing to deliver on this, and just 2 years down the line, in fact, 1 year into our administration, the opposition started regrouping. Why? Because the president said he wants to work for Nigerians. The people that have been benefiting in terms of fuel subsidy and the subsidization of the dollar went into action in order to fight him. They call him names. They say we don't know how to run an economy. We don't know how to execute policies. But 2 years down the line, Nigerians are seeing the benefit of those actions that the president took on the first day. And even the late president confided in the governor of Katsina and said that he saluted the courage of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for going after these two monsters that are affecting our economy. That he couldn't do it when he was when he was the president. So if we have a president that has this kind of political will to take decisions that will be in the benefit of all Nigerians in the long run, that will be in the benefit of the economy, and you have some few people that have been benefiting from the system not being happy and coming out to say that Nigerians are not happy is not true. Yes, Nigerians have suffered the pains of the reform, like I said earlier, which the president told Nigerians that it would be painful, but the dividends are showing. They have started showing, and they are going to go in upward trajectory. Nigerians will feel better and better as the days goes on. The students that we have in our tertiary institutions now are all pro Asuwaju because of what he has done for them. It has never happened in Nigeria that the children of the poor that cannot afford to pay school fees can now go and have access to fund to pay their school fees and have money for upkeep. It has never happened in the history of Nigeria, and it is happening now. And the opposition are not happy about that. That is why they are coming with all these things that Nigerians are not happy. We go around the streets, we know what is happening. Areas that we are supposed to do well, we are identifying them and we are putting strategies for us to do well in those areas. We are not saying that everything is perfect, no. There are areas that we know where as a government we need to focus and do well. And the president is leading that charge. And we're having a leader that is concerned about that, and he's identifying those areas himself and taking governors, telling appointees, telling governors, take action in these areas, take action in those areas, because that is what Nigerians want. So if you have a president like this that is willing to take the bullet for Nigeria, that is willing to take the pain, and he has the guts and the political will to take painful decisions that at the end of the day will be beneficial to all Nigerians, not few people that are used to enjoying government patronage and because they are out of it now and they feel that everything is not going on well with the country.
All right.
The country is on the right
other part of that
it's
question,
going to get better.
I get that. And the other part of that question is whether a politician like former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who has shifted alliances so many times, can still claim to represent stable leadership.
You see, when people are used to positions, you cannot take it away from them. There are some people that I don't want to, with all due respect to the former vice president, and has been in politics for a long time. But when it is not your time, it is not your time. I don't see any reasonable person in the North. We are honest people. We keep to promises. We agreed that power will return between North and South for 8 years. Not even at any person that from the North that comes out to contest, believe you me, people like us will go out and fight, not because of anything, but because we want to be seen as honorable people, so that the whole country can know that when we have a promise, even though it is an unwritten promise, we keep to it. That is who we are in the North, and that will not change come 2027. Anybody that is coming from the North, whether Atiku Abubakar, whether whosoever is coming at the wrong time.
All right.
We have agreed it's an unwritten norm, and that is what is keeping our democracy intact. Power will remain in the South for 8 years. Right. It's not negotiable. We will not allow it, and will not be allowed to be cowed into it by some few people that want to get into power through the back door, that we should put that aside. No, it will not be put aside, because it will not be well for us and for the younger generations. All
right. Thank you, Dr. Muhammed. Let's talk about your office. You're Chairman, Presidential Implementation Committee on Technology Transfer. You're also Special Advisor, National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure. I want you to talk to us about progress, challenges, and accountability in advancing technology transfer, especially in relation to industrial development, innovation, and international collaboration. What is the current state of technology transfer in Nigeria?
You see, when we came on board and Mr. President made it clear, I remember in one of the discussions he was having, he hammered on the importance of technology in driving the economy. The difference we have between developing countries and developed countries is technology. They spend a lot in the research and development and commercialization of the research and development outputs for them to provide goods and services that they need as a country. And that is where, as a country, we have been lagging behind. Most of our research and development outputs remain in the shelf because they are not linked to industry needs. So what we are doing in the PICTT and NASENI is to see how we can link the research and developments that we have to industry needs. And how do we do that? We look at the technologies that the country needs, looking at it based on sectorial level. For example, when we are looking at the agri sector, what are those things that Nigeria needs for us to help the ecosystem in the agri ecosystem. And we realized that we are lacking in irrigation equipment, we are lacking in mechanization, we are lacking in having fertilizer. And we sought out to collaborate with companies that are well versed in irrigation technology infrastructure across the world to see how we can bring in the technology here in Nigeria and build irrigation pumps that we need to give our farmers so that they can farm all year round, and also bring in the required irrigation infrastructure that we can now have big agricultural hubs that will produce output that we need even to service the SAPs that are coming up. So we have a factory that is producing irrigation machines, irrigation pumps. We have gotten the mandate or to set up the fertilizer that is made out of coal from Indonesia. And the first fertilizer factory is being built. We have been able to bring in eco-panelly that is using rice straw to provide straw boards for low-cost housing. The factory will be commissioned this year, and so many other things in agriculture. And if we look at the EV mandate that the president has given us, we have spoken to so many companies that are into electric vehicles and have signed an agreement for them to come and set up assembly plants that will produce electric vehicles here in Nigeria. Some of the machineries are even on ground. Very soon we'll have the groundbreaking ceremony for the first factory that will be set up at the Abuja Technology Village. So these are some of the things we are doing in PICTT and Naseni. The other thing we are doing is how do we help our entrepreneurs have access to technology, funding, and foreign partners so that they can upscale their production or be able to innovate something new. We have the Delta 2 program we're doing with the Czech Republic, which we have started. And what we do is that we bring the consortium of researchers from Nigeria, Czech Republic, and also entrepreneurs from Nigeria and Czech Republic to form up a consortium and provide funding for them for us to bring the technology needed to produce things that ordinarily we will import so that we can produce them in Nigeria.
So what's the level of commitment?
We have benefited from that program. We have people.
What's the level of commitment from these international partners?
The commitment is so high. Okay. In the first call we did, we were able to identify about 10 Nigerian companies that needed intervention in terms of funding and in terms of technology for them to build products here in Nigeria. We have funded them and they are doing very well now. We are having a second call this year. Very soon we'll do it. And in our other program that we do, which is Delta, Developing Engineering Leaders, through her, which we are focusing on female engineers in Nigeria to see that we bring them into the industrial ecosystem to provide their own ingenuity in producing goods. Last year we did and we sponsored about 5 female engineers that have come up with various products that are remarkable. One of them is even a drone that is being used for security, which has been developed by a Nigerian female engineer. So this year we have made the call. Currently we are examining 9,800 applications that have been submitted by female engineers in Nigeria that will focus on innovation and production of goods and services that we need as a country so that we can stop importation. So I can go on and see we have various interventions in almost every sector that we are doing in order to help our manufacturing base. All
right, I find this very interesting and I must say well done. But you know, you talked about helping entrepreneurs upscale production and innovate something new. But how does this committee engage with Nigerian universities, polytechnics and startups to ensure local innovations are commercialized and scaled up?
Like I told you, in every intervention we are doing, we must have a research agency in it.
Okay.
We must have a Nigerian company in its private sector that will do the commercialization of the research output. And very interesting, most of the people that applied as research agencies were our universities. Cut across all the country, almost all the projects have universities involved in them. So we are domesticating the research knowledge in the universities for it to be transferred to Nigerians going forward. So it's very interesting that the Manufacturer Association is involved, the universities are involved, the polytechnics, our technical schools, they are all involved in the program. For each program, we have an institution attached to it.
All right, that's fantastic.
For domestication.
That's good.
No.
But funding and infrastructure are critical enablers of technology transfer, and their absence or weakness can significantly hinder the process. I'm wondering, how is the committee navigating these challenges to ensure successful absorption of transferred technologies? Do you have enough funding?
Yeah, you see, funding is a problem and it's not a problem. Where funding becomes a problem is when you don't have a structure to attract funding. If you build a structure that is commercially viable, there are funds out there, both locally and internationally, of people willing to invest because it is about return on investment. So why most projects suffer from lack of funding is that it is not structured to attract funding. So what we are doing in our in NASENI and the PICTT is that for every project we are committed to, we must see the commercial viability in it. And once the commercial viability is in it, you will see private sector will bring in their funds to be part of it. It may interest you to know, in all our technology transfer partnership that we have done, we don't provide more than 10 or 20% of the funding. The private sector players provide the funding, whether those here in Nigeria or those abroad, because it is commercially viable. So it's not about there's no funding. There is funding if you structure your project to attract funding.
All right. Quickly, and this is because I know Nigeria is working towards reducing fossil fuel dependence, cutting emissions, and also transitioning to clean energy. And I'm aware that NASENI is actively involved in designing and developing electric vehicle prototypes suited to Nigerian terrain and conditions. How does NASENI's electric vehicle strategy align with Nigeria's energy transition plan and net zero commitments?
You see, Mr. President, when he came, he was very particular about transitioning to clean energy. We started with the CNG program that the President announced, and NASENI took it upon themselves to set up one of the biggest CNG conversion centers in the country in order to align with Mr. President's objective. And we went further ahead to align with the global trend that it's not just CNG that is in play. Electric vehicle is coming to be the dominant form of transportation across the world, and we don't want to be left behind and do catch up. So that is why we had to put our structure together, engage with our partners to see how we can now bring in the needed technology to start assembling electric vehicles here in Nigeria. They are cheaper to maintain, they're less emission, which is in line with what we agreed at the last COP as a government. And now I think not only that, even our solar, our irrigation pumps, we are doing solar irrigation pumps so that we can help with the emission problem. We have solar home system solutions that we are deploying across the country for low-cost earners, for them to have solar home systems in their houses at a very affordable rate that they pay monthly. All this is to help us drive Nigeria towards clean energy and then reduce our fossil fuel emission. So it's in line with the present objective and also the objective that has been agreed at the last COP that Nigeria is part of the signatories.
All right, Dr. Muhammed, let's go back to money because, except we're deceiving ourselves, these plans come with adequate funding. So I'm curious to know what funding or policy support does NASENI need to accelerate its EV development efforts?
You see, what we believe in the Senate is that let's do the work and we'll attract funding. The president has been magnanimous enough. Let me tell you, before the president came, it was very difficult for Naseni to access their statutory funding. But with the coming of Mr. President, he gave the approval, and Naseni has been able to function very well. They've received their statutory funding, and that is what they are using as counterpart funding to attract bigger investment into what we are doing. So in terms of funding from the government, there is nothing we'll say but to thank Mr. President for his intervention in that, because he is the chairman of Naseni, and he knows that Naseni has a role to play in building our science and engineering infrastructure as a country, and that is the basis for economic development for any country. And the president is supportive. We can only thank him, and we cannot thank him enough for what he has done in order to give Naseni the needed, not just financial, but political support that we require to deliver on the dividends of democracy in terms of building our science and engineering infrastructure. All right, then.
So what you have said is that there is adequate funding, but for you to get more money, you must do the job first. Thank you so much for speaking with us, Dr. Dahiru Muhammed. Exactly. All right, Chairman, PICTT, Special Advisor, Naseni. Thank you very much for your time in politics tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching, everyone. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But before we go, let's tell you that views and reactions of our resource persons are theirs and have no connection with TVC News. Meanwhile, you can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode at 12:30 a.m. Get in touch with us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and X at TVC News NG and at Olajumoke using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News NG. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Good night, everyone.